Hello there, my name is Jonah Reynolds. I am 50 years old. I've been designing and building sustainable off-grid buildings all of my life. Got started around 13 or so. and I am part of a team called Pangea Design Build, where we design and build these sustainable off-grid buildings. And we are in the process of launching a design build school called the Pangea Academy. And so this is the first video. The idea and hope here is to be as authentic as possible and to share our process and how we go about things, how we set up for projects, how we're growing and launching this idea of all humans should have as a right a sustainable and off-grid home, or they should be able to get it. And so I'm an extremely private person, and but it is more important that we share not just how we do things and why we do things, but this knowledge and experience of sustainable off-grid buildings, and that covers a lot, is very important and shouldn't be owned by anybody, and that needs to be out there and available. So that's some big picture things, and I'm hoping to do a bunch of videos here and share all this. And so what we're doing now today is we are starting a bunch of projects this spring. A bunch in California and a bunch in New Mexico. We build earthships and other buildings, and the main building component is rammed earth and tires, which works great. It's affordable. There's a whole bunch of reasons that I'll go into it in another time. But in California, we can't build with rammed earth and tires. It's not that it's not in the it's not that we're not allowed to. It's just that it's not in the code. So building departments can't say yes and they can't say no. And so what that requires is a lot of structural engineering, a lot of time, a lot of money to produce a report, calculations, where that structural engineer will also put their license against it. So they'll stamp it. So they'll stamp the drawings, because the building department needs that, and it's a matter of shifting liability. And so these jobs in California, they're concrete. They're concrete buildings, and that's okay. The performance is almost there. You have to be able to hold back an earth berm if you want to really get an extreme off-grid building that doesn't use fossil fuels. And then is concrete bad for the planet? Yes, it's terrible, but can't really replace it right now. But the other point is that over the life of a building, including the construction, the total amount of energy that a building is going to use, 80% of it is in the life of the home. 20% is in the construction. That's a lot in construction, especially if you're going to build a home that's going to last hundreds and hundreds of years, like some of the buildings that we do, that we expect a large amount of that building to survive well beyond that. So the structural engineer would need to do those types of calculations. Everywhere else it's fine. Not that rammed earth and tires is in the code in other places, but California is just different. So we're doing these buildings as concrete. And like I said, that's fine. It's still thermal mass. We can still get the performance. It's still going to hold temperature, uh, and it's going to hold back an earth berm or whatever that we because outside of the wall, you have to have plenty of thermal mass. So so there's these buildings starting in California this spring. One is a 4-bedroom curved, basically global model, I guess if you want to call it, earthship. Totally off grid, will be fossil fuel free. And another one is an earthship homestead. This one has minimal solar power system. The state of California only requires, I think it's 2 or 3 kilowatts, but that calculation is based on the whole building. No batteries or anything like that. So it's not a realistic thing. It's a big picture thing to, I guess, to reduce the amount of fossil fuels that the state uses. So that building's a concrete thing. Gray water planters, catch water, cooling tubes, that type of thing. And that's the homestead. And then there's one in Joshua Tree that is a passive house. We're using hemp insulation on everything now, hemp bat insulation, and so there's this Joshua Tree project, and we're on a couple of these. We're partnering with local contractors, which is great because we get to share the all the green stuff, for lack of a better word, all the systems, all the off-grid living systems. And we also get to learn about more about conventional building and help keep keep a pulse on what's going on. There's a lot of valuable information there, even though it is stick frame building, right? And I think stick frame building is BS. But it is what it is, and maybe that's for another video. But so these are these 3 buildings, and we're integrating the systems, right? LA City now, it's in the books that you can flush your toilet with gray water. So all these water-saving methods that we use when we're catching water, we're using it a bunch of times. Gray water, black water, treating everything on site. We still have a conventional septic tank and a leach field at the end of our system. Our system is basically a giant PVC pipe, right? Nothing leaks out and it ends up in a leach field. And so we're adding these systems onto these buildings. The Joshua Tree thing looks totally conventional. It's a normal looking building. It just has these systems. So those are the ones in California that we're doing. The homestead is 4 different buildings, I believe, 3, and then in New Mexico, we got 3 really cool projects. The third one I'm super excited about. But we're doing 2 remodels, one in Santa Fe, one in Los Alamos, and we're bringing on the Los Alamos job. We're bringing in the heating and cooling system, so the building will stay comfortable without fossil fuels, and doing some other aesthetic and lighting things. One might say that it's not an off-grid living system, but all the dimensional lumber for all of these jobs, we have a tree felling and sawmill program that we're going to work with the Forest Service on to help thin out the forest because of the crazy high fire threat. So long story short, maybe another video, is we are putting a team together to fell trees, sawmill, dimensional lumber, sustainably harvested lumber, that whole thing. We're a little new to it, so there's a lot of learning thing, but it's a really cool thing. And so we're using that lumber on these remodels. The Santa Fe remodel, we're doing I think it's about a 1,200 square foot thing. We're doing a lot of adobe plaster over there, a lot of really, really nice finishes. But that's just basically a conventional remodel. And we're doing some, like the adobe mud plaster, some traditional, New Mexico things there. But we're excited about the remodels because we get to do some conventional things, but it's really, finishes, because we're stripping things down to the structure. So we get to kind of, flex that muscle, if you will, with finishes, and really nice finishes at that. And then this job way out in the forest in Mora that we're bringing in our academy for students. This is a ground up new build. It's a full-on earthship, tires, everything, all systems, no fossil fuels, no gas. Everything's electric, induction ovens, which we're specking on everything we're doing. Gas is bad. We shouldn't be using that. But this project is it's a Nautilus earthship, based on the Fibonacci series, the Nautilus spiral in galaxies and your fingerprint and our hair. And we did one of those earthships back in 1997, and it's amazing to be in. We put the bed in the middle of the spiral, and that's an amazing thing. It's another rhythm and system of the planet, like the sun, the wind, catching water, basically capturing a river delta or the Florida Everglades in a planter to treat the wastewater, right? A lot of this isn't invented. It's just emerging with the rhythms of the planet, which is a beautiful, amazing thing. So the Nautilus spiral is another thing on this planet. And it's everywhere. And there's something there, and we should be figuring that out at the very least. A lot of ancient peoples, ancient civilizations were way into this. And I just think it's something significant. And when we relate to it a couple times in our buildings, and the one specific time so far in the Nautilus, that's amazing. It's really amazing. So this building is a larger Nautilus in earthship, and the studio is two 18-foot circles with the Vesica Pisces. So, we're forming the spiral out of tire walls and all that. A lot of landscaping, a lot of permaculture and that type of thing. So that's the thing in Mora. We're looking at a couple she sheds in Albuquerque, which is nice. It's basically a passive house remodel. We have a passive house thing in the Palisades in California right now. We finished up a passive house, one of, I think, only 3 in Los Angeles. This one's in Oxnard that we did last year. Solar power, one of those new Rheem heat pump water heaters, which we're using in all our buildings now. And so those are projects that are starting this spring. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and we're applying our academy to everything, which is pangeaacademy.org. And then just to kind of close this video out, I'm hoping to do more. I'm hoping to even post this. And a couple things we're having on the board is a 2-bedroom tornado-resistant earthship in Oklahoma. What else? There's another one in Joshua Tree we're starting at the end of the summer, and then a couple earthships here in Taos. So that's exciting. That's the new refuge model. And and one more thing is we're looking at 3D printers, and basically forming 10-inch, 12-inch thick 3D printed walls with a cavity inside where we pour cement, concrete, and have steel inside. So it's the same as conventional poured walls, although these are printed with a 3D printer in days for a 2,000 square foot building, or even 400 square foot buildings for affordable housing, where we're planning on having those rent out at $500 a month. And these are off-grid, so all the utilities are included. And so this 3D printing is very, very interesting. It gives us the thermal mass, it gives us speed, It reduces the cost per square foot. We're looking at competing with frame building prices, but still have off-grid, totally off-grid, no fossil fuel systems. And then it also makes us pretty quick and mobile and nimble. And then it also puts us in direct competition with prefab. And I say competition there because prefab are not sustainable, they're not off-grid. They support this system of basically abusing the planet. We don't look at, you know, Adobe, straw bale, any of those, any other type of building methods as competition when we're all, you know, sustainable and off-grid, or mostly off-grid, or even partially off-grid. But you know, do something that is conscious, that is righteous, that has long-term thoughts and intentions, and you know, make the pricing work and the money work, but it money cannot be the driving factor and the chief architect of how we do things, let alone business, let alone housing, especially how we relate to each other. It's a tool, it's there, but let it just be there. Then it's always there. Then we can focus on other things and not get bogged down by it. All right, that's 16 minutes and 45 seconds. That's a lot for the first video. Excuse me, good morning. Hopefully y'all are all good with this, you know, transparency and authenticity. Enjoy the sunrise. Have a good day.